Hello, this is Mrs. Schlarman, and today we are going to talk about how to make a clay reindeer using scoring, slipping, and a little bit of molding to make this guy cute and adorable. First thing you're going to do is you're going to get your chunk of clay. Then we're going to rip off a section, okay, and another section. And we're going to start by making the legs. So the legs are going to become basically, you want to make two thick snakes. Okay, so you can roll it out, and it's about the width of my hand. Okay, and you can roll it back and forth in between your hand like this, or you can roll it on the table like this. So you want to take two, and we're going to make two medium-sized coils. And make sure they're about roughly the same size. Compare them. And these are going to be the legs of our reindeer. So the first thing I'm going to do is make sure that they're ready to rock and roll. Now we're going to use, as you know, the clay is wet. And when the clay is wet, it's not going to hold its form. So I'm going to use this roller over here as a molding tool. And what you want to do is whenever you're using a molding tool, you always want to use a release. So this paper will keep the clay from sticking to the wood. I'm going to take these two right here, and it's just like he's straddling the roller. So there's his front legs, and then here I'm going to bend it down and make his back legs. So this is going to allow it to hold its shape and be able to hold it as we go. So you can see from this one that's already made, the two legs look like they're just coming around the roller. He's like right there, just riding the log. Alright, so once I have the legs, I'm going to work on the body. And the same thing, I'm going to take off a little piece here, and I'm going to roll it around, and I want to try to get the shape of it. And the shape of his body is roughly like a fat kind of oval. Okay, so once I have that shape that I want, I'm going to put it on there and say, oh, that's a pretty good shape, maybe a little flattened down. Now, as you know, in order to make things stick, you have to use scoring, which are little X marks into the clay on both sides, and then slip. And in here is my slip. And basically, slip works like a glue. All it is watered down, watery clay that I mix in a blender, and then that way it'll stick to it. I give it a smush down. And I can smush on it pretty good because I have that roller down there keeping it all supported. Next, I want a cute little tail. Let's see that little guy. Walk on forward there. There he is. You see his cute little tail sticking up? And I'm going to make that shape. It kind of looks like a little triangle. And of course, I want to score and slip that as well. And then I'm just going to attach it and stick that cute little tail up there. Okay. And then I'm going to move on to the head. And I don't want too big of a head, but I'm just going to roll it in between my hands. And I'm going to kind of get the shape. And that is also kind of shaped like an oval, but kind of a little bit more flat. And give him a cute, like he's got that longer area for his nose. Once I have that shape, double check, make sure I want where I want it. Oh, it's a little big. I'm going to cut down a little bit on that. Shape it a little bit more, rubbing it. Once I have the shape that I want, oh, that's much better. Okay, I'm going to kind of wherever the eyes go. I'm going to make the head a little longer because like the deer has that muzzle, a little more pointed. And before I stick it, I mean it sticks now when it's wet, but as it dries, it'll pull apart. And as we know, as the clay dries, the wetter it is, the slower it will dry. So if I have slip in there, it's going to cause that area to dry slower, and then I'll have my reindeer ready to go. Now I'm going to add in my little features. And I'm going to start with my antlers. Okay, so the first thing I want to do with my antlers is I'm going to get some clay, roll it into a nice ball, then I'm going to flatten it into a pancake, I'm going to flip it over. Okay. And then I'm going to draw on the shape of the antler. And you can use a pencil or you can use the knife itself, but I'm just going to kind of help my drawing here. And I'm going to think, okay, I want the antler to be this. If I make my antler too small, it's going to be difficult for it to stand up, so it needs to have that form. So here I cut out my antler, the shape that I want. Okay, getting that one out here. My excess clay over here. So there is my one shape of my antler. Then I'll smooth it out and kind of shape it a little bit more as I go. And then I want another antler to match it. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to make that ball. Then I'm going to make that pancake. Flipping it over so it doesn't get stuck too much. And then I want it to match my shape. So the same thing I'm going to do is put my other shape on top of it and trace around it. Once I've done that, I'll take my knife and I'll cut it out. If you have any extra clay, make sure you ball it up because we don't want it to dry out. And then of course we'll recycle it into the bag. If you need more clay because you didn't have enough, we can get some more out of the bag. But please don't take any home with you because this clay it must be fired in the kiln, and if it's not, it's just going to crumble into dry little pieces of dust. So you want to make sure that we're not just taking it because it has to be in the kiln. Okay, so once I've got my cute little antlers there, might need to shape this one a little bit different, you know, kind of get it up to there, move it around. Then I'm going to work on the other features first too. I'm going to make some cute little ears. Okay, and my ears are basically little triangles. So I make little balls. Okay, then I can squish them down. I could just form them like I did the tail, or if you want them more precise, you can cut them and make that specific triangle. Okay. Then of course think about your placement, where they need to go, and then you can move them around. But what do I need to do before I finally attach them? I need to score and slip. So make sure you've got those little marks there. And we're going to add in the little slip. We're going to stick our ears on here. Smooth it out. And then right behind the ears, we're going to attach our antlers. And if you want to shape your antlers a little bit more, kind of smooth them, move them around, that helps. So you're going to add in some scoring, and then of course some slip, and attach so that they dry. We want to make sure it's got plenty of slip on there and that they're smoothed in, because if they don't, these are so delicate because they're thinner and longer that they're going to dry faster, and we don't want them falling off. So score this guy, put plenty of slip on them, smear it onto it. Then we adjust them a little bit, curve this one up some. They don't have to be exactly the same, just like any reindeer, they're not always exactly the same. Okay. Then I'm going to work on his little cute nose down here. I'm going to make just a little ball. Okay, roll it. I'm going to flatten it a little bit. Score, score, and then of course get some slip and then stick it on there. Now you can make your eyes all different ways. On this one over here, he's got a sphere flattened into a pancake, and then another sphere flattened into a pancake a little bit smaller, scored and slipped on there. So that's one way to make eyes. Another way to make eyes is to use a pencil, and actually just put the eyes in there. And that's a cute way to do eyes as well. So you can make them actually pop out, or you can draw them in there with the eyes as well. Okay, so now he's looking pretty cute. Couple things I can look at is, do I have any big old marks that need to be smoothed out? So you can just take your finger and smooth those marks out and kind of get him and make sure he's all attached. Make sure he's looking all just the way you want him. Sometimes you got to give him his little feet a little, where his hooves would be. Kind of give him his hooves. Kind of smoosh that around. Make him all setting up. And then you'll notice that when I pick him up, paper's still stuck to him. That's fine. You can leave him that. Look him at the sides. Move it around. And then what you're going to do is you can bring the roller with you so that in case you're worried about him falling off. And you're going to take him over, and I'm going to be over there by the shelving, and I'm going to take a pencil and I'm going to write your name and your date, the year it was made, into the clay. After that's been made, I will set him up on the counter. Okay, we will throw away that paper, then we'll return that. And then he's going to set up and dry. After he dries, it's probably going to take about 3 days. Then it's going to be considered bone dry. I will put him in the kiln, and after the kiln, he will be fired for 24 hours up to 2,000 degrees, and then it's be called bisqueware. He'll come out and he's going to be completely white. Then you'll come back and glaze it using the special paint that turns in like glass covering over him. And then I will fire them again to about 1200 degrees, which will fuse that glaze onto them and make them shiny and really colorful of however you choose to paint your little reindeer. So we use the score and slip technique method and a molding to keep our form so that it can stand up on its own without giving way. All right, any excess clay you have, you are going to ball it back up and return it to the big bag and clean up your area. All right, thanks. Can't wait to see you guys. Bye.